And I'm not sure why, after 10 years of covering this president, the American media still cannot understand when President Trump says he's going to do something, he's going to do it.
Trump legalized drugs, Andy.
He legalized, what is it? Is it ibogaine? Is that the right word?
Yeah, but I think it's more than just Ibogaine. I think it's psychedelics for mental health. He's like opening up the gateway for them to test.
So I got to stop you real quick. Did you read that anywhere, or do you just think that?
No, I read that. I
Okay,
read the psychedelic. Trump legalized psychedelics for
okay. Because what I read is it's very specifically ibogaine, and it's gone through
just
testing.
Ibogaine.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
it's a very specific drug that has been used on veterans. And during the press conference they had, I think that they were all saying, and Rogan said it before, that like it has like an 80 to 90% effective rate. Apparently that's bullshit. It has like a 40% effective rate, which is outstanding. It's one of those where like the truth was already good, but for some reason they're like inflating it to be even better. But like it does appear to really be beneficial. Just they're making it seem more beneficial than it really is.
So it's
Um,
just Ibogaine? I could have sworn I read somewhere where they were
that
doing like it was well, maybe they already have some stuff in place because like they're already doing treatments with different
so
psychedelics already.
I could be wrong.
Testing.
The one I read said it was specifically ibogaine, but this is going to open the door for psychedelics to be used in treatment of mental health issues, blah blah blah. Basically meaning if this goes well, then you would have to think that expanded even more. But I believe from what I read, it's just
Okay.
ibogaine. So somebody feel free to fact check
Okay.
us on that.
Hmm.
So real quick,
Interesting.
what were your
Interesting.
thoughts? What were your thoughts on Rogan being in the Oval Office? Like a lot of people were pissed about that. What were your thoughts?
It was weird. It was weird. And going back to the lies, Trump said that he said that the episode with Rogan and Trump got 300 million views. I had to fact check it. It's 40 million views.
So I I
He
remember
said
seeing
300 million.
I remember seeing at the time that it got like 300 million views. Like was it just 40 million on YouTube? Um,
I just Googled it and it said 40 million views.
hold on. How many views did Trump get on Joe? Because I remember hearing 300 million at the time.
That was
Um,
Trump was saying that.
so it says 40 to 61 million views on YouTube within the first 3 days. Uh, The video reached 20 million views in under 20 hours. Let me see here. It doesn't say how many total. Because it was also on Rumble. I think it was on Twitter. So it was on a.
Spotify.
Yeah, I'll bet it's one of those where it'd be hard to calculate, and he probably just picked the number 300 million. But the 40 to whatever it was 40 to 61 million was YouTube alone, and it was on a couple different platforms. Is all I'll say.
How do they
He,
not know it's 40 to 61? Like, how do they not know an exact number?
you would think you think we could have the exact YouTube number, like that would make sense that they
Yeah.
could give that to us,
Because
but
our last podcast got 1,348 views. Exactly.
I was very proud of
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way to go. Like and subscribe.
Thank you, everybody. Um, I don't know. I'll bet it's not 300 million, but it was probably a lot of people watched it. Like I think everybody that loves Trump watched it, and then a lot of people that don't like Trump probably I watched. I think I watched the whole thing honestly. Like I hate
Yeah.
watching
It
it,
is.
but I watched the whole thing. So I gotta
Yeah.
believe it got a crap load of views. He probably is tacking on another 100 million just because it's him, but. I would think that.
Yeah.
But I'll say this. I saw so many people getting mad at Joe Rogan for doing that. I have a totally different take on it. Like it was a good thing. Like I don't know a whole lot about psychedelics, but if this is working to treat like PTSD, then cool. Let's keep trying that. Um,
Sure.
I'm wondering what other celebrities could we get to like say some nice things about Trump and then get him to legalize weed or like let's we know that all you have to do is say nice things about him. Let's start using this to our advantage. Like we're missing a golden opportunity here. We should be
Well,
sending
wasn't it
in,
Kim Kardashian in the first
yeah,
term, like got him to like pardon people?
yeah, it was like bail reform or something along those lines. Yeah, it's got people out of prison, like low, what do they call it? People that have nonviolent criminal records got out of prison. So
That was Biden.
Trump did because it was Trump. I remember the name Alice Johnson. It was a lady. She was like an activist for people that were in jail for for basically for weed and stuff like that. So it was
Mhm.
something along those lines is what Kardashian got him to do. Again, let's use this to our benefit. All you have to do is say some nice things about him in public. Like get a celebrity, get a pretty girl to say some nice things about him in public, and then come to the Oval Office and convince him to do a bunch of left-wing shit. I'll bet we could get him to do Medicare for all. Like if you had the right celebrities team up and say nice things about him, he would do Medicare for all.
I think we should send Vanna White.
How old is Vanna White these days?
I don't know, but she's a beautiful older woman.
So
I'm guessing she's a liberal. That's my guess. I don't know. She doesn't really talk much on that show, but I've always had a little crush on Vanna White, and I think she could do good things in this administration.
So I'm willing to bet Vanna White still looks good. Vanna White is 69 years old. Let me see if I can find a current picture. She's still not bad. I mean, she's definitely 69, but actually, you know what? She looks about 58 to 60, somewhere in that range. She doesn't look bad, I will say. So, but you got to remember, Trump's into the 22-year-old models. Like we need Sydney Sweeney. Like Sydney Sweeney has been kind of on the outs because she has Republican leanings, and a lot of people. If she took one for the team for America and said a lot of really nice things about Trump, and then got him to do some things that would be great for the country. Medicare for all is the one I can think of right now. Legalize weed. Like, let's start utilizing what we know about Trump. That's all I'm going to say there. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I like it. I'm down.
Awesome. Real quick, and I don't want to spend too much time on this. By the way, I got a lot on where we're at with Iran, but I wanted to cover a couple things first because I'll talk too long about Iran. But we had a big defection. I don't want to say we. I'm not a Democrat. The Democrats had a big defection that happened today. I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if they're going to come back from this, honestly. This is kind of creepy. Alan Dershowitz wrote an opinion column today. Alan Dershowitz, why I am becoming a Republican. I first registered as a Democrat in 1959. The party's hostility to Israel is too much.
What?
Alan Dershowitz, as you might remember, was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer and Donald Trump's lawyer, and he got a massage, but he kept his underpants on the whole time. He has left the Democratic Party.
Good. We don't need him. Get out of here, Alan. Yeah. How can he be Donald Trump's lawyer and a Democrat?
Yeah, he was a Democrat his whole life. He was like one of those Northeastern Democrats.
He's 87 years old.
I think so.
That's
But
what's up.
he said it's because of Israel. I'd have a feeling also has to do with the Epstein list. But Alan Dershowitz has defected. He's a Republican. I don't think Democrats will ever come back from this. So
No. Did you see the win we had today, though? The Democrats?
so I didn't pull anything on that. The win y'all had today in West, or was it just Virginia? In Virginia,
Virginia.
the measure passed for redistricting, and it was close. I want to say it was like 49 to 52 or somewhere in that range. 48,
I
52,
don't know.
whatever it would be.
Look,
It was
Virginia's has been a 6-5 like district. Districting was 6-5.
Now it's
Democrats,
going to be
6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. Now it's 10-1. So it's
yeah.
like a 4-seat victory for us.
What's funny, the Republicans are pissed about this. Like Trump was campaigning against it. Like they are very mad. My whole thing on this, if I speaking as a true independent on this, Republicans definitely started this battle. They did it with Texas first, and then they did it with I think Indiana and South Carolina and Ohio. And then Democrats fought back. And right now, I believe Democrats hold an advantage just off all the redistricting. And that's assuming Texas didn't really dummy mander. Like, there's a chance Texas got a little greedy and they're going to end up losing seats because they were kind of relying on the Hispanic vote, and the Hispanic vote might not be there this time. So Florida's talking about doing it. And Florida's very much like Texas in that regard, like the Latin American vote. And Democrats are daring Florida to do it. Like they want them to do it because there's a solid chance it would backfire. So anyhow.
Okay. This is going to look good as long as they don't cheat.
Yeah. Before we get into Iran, the last thing I wanted to show you, did you see any clips of Tucker Carlson in the last few days?
I don't think so.
This is an interesting clip, and I caught this, I think this morning, but I think it happened over the weekend. This is only about 45 seconds, but listen to Tucker real quick, and then we're going to talk about this.
You and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure.
Yes.
It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's like in very small ways, but in real ways, You and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
Yes.
So I do think it's like a moment to wrestle with our own consciences. We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people. It was not intentional. That's all I'll say. But anyway, but the question does present itself immediately. Like, what is this? Was this always the plan? You don't want to be a conspiracy nut, but like clearly there were signs of low character. We knew that.
Yes.
Yeah, low character. He had extremely low character.
It's just
From the first term, like if you didn't realize that his character was extremely low, you're not thinking properly.
But who would have thought a year in, Tucker Carlson is apologizing to his audience for telling them to vote for Donald Trump? Like, that's huge. Like, and that's one of those where I haven't seen what anybody's reaction to this is yet. But like the reaction from anybody on the left should just be like, "Hey, welcome to our side. Good to have you." Don't like your first reaction there was like, "Yeah, of course he had low character. Like he should have known that." No, don't spike the football. Don't be a dick about it. If this continues to happen, Trump's polling right now is god awful. In fact, there were new polls that came out today. He's between 32 and 35%. But as this continues to happen,
32?
Yeah, 32 to 35. He's dancing right at the Bush line. But as this continues to happen, like we have to just be gracious and just be like, "Hey, thank you for seeing the light. Welcome in. You're on our team now." That's what it needs to be. I'm hoping people. I think the left is going to be shitty about this. I just see it happening.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not to be, but it's also like, I mean Tucker Carlson, like why he's not a dumb guy, right? And he's been talking shit about Trump since throughout the first term, right?
So he didn't for almost the entire first term, and then it was after January 6th that we have those text messages where he was saying that Trump was despicable or whatever he said. I can't remember.
Yeah, when were those text messages? They were during the first term, weren't they?
No, I think they were like right around January 6th because they came out because of the Dominion lawsuit. So Dominion during Discovery had the right to get all their emails that had anything to do with January 6th and all that, and that's how that email came to light.
Okay.
But
then he still, after those text messages, he still was telling people to vote for Trump.
yeah, I think him, like most of the Republicans, for about a month or two, they were kind of like down on Trump, and then after about 2 months after January 6th, they were right back on his side. So anyhow, like I said, no need to even talk about this. Welcome, Tucker. Trump sucks. Like, thank you for seeing it our way. And then on that quick note, the Washington Examiner it's like an online rag, but it's a conservative one. So it's always interesting to see what they're saying. This was in the Washington Examiner today. Opinion. Imagine it was someone other than President Donald Trump. Suppose a different leader were posting deranged rants in the small hours, insulting the spiritual leader of 1.3 billion Catholics, threatening entire civilizations with annihilation, and comparing himself to God. What would the reaction be? And the picture says, Donald Trump is losing his mind. So that definitely, so Trump saw that because he responded to that. And then Ro Khanna, I didn't even pull anything on this, but Ro Khanna went on Maria Bartiromo's Sunday morning show, and we know Trump watches that. And Ro Khanna said that Trump is being controlled by Israel and like went on and on. And Trump immediately afterward tweeted like, "I am not controlled by Israel, blah, blah, blah." And it was clear. It was like, oh, he just watched Ro Khanna on Maria Bartiromo's show. So he's definitely seeing the criticism and lashing out. And on that note, real quick, the down pilots that we had a couple weeks ago, did you see all the reporting that was coming out about how they wouldn't let him into the room while they were trying to do the rescue operation?
I vaguely heard murmurs of that.
And this is from the Jerusalem Post. This was in a lot of papers, but for some reason I felt like pulling this one. But military advisors intentionally excluded Trump from the command room during the recent high-stakes extraction of a downed American airman in Iran, fearing his erratic temper would jeopardize the mission, according to a Wall Street Journal report. So the Wall Street Journal had it first, but apparently after we had 2 airmen go down, like he was losing his shit. Like he was almost panicking and like yelling at people and screaming and demanding we go get them right away. And our generals were telling him like, "Sir, we need to come up with a plan. Like, we can't just send a helicopter into enemy territory and pick this guy up. We have to get a good plan together. And he was like screaming at them to just do it now. So they basically found a way to distract him. The article was actually hysterical because like Susie Wiles and some of his aides were like trying desperately, like, sir, come over here. We actually need you for this. And they couldn't get him away from the room. Finally, they did. They managed to, and they would just update him when good things were happening. They never told him when something bad was going on, and basically just had to keep him distracted while we tried to rescue these two pilots, which is kind of hysterical. This is not a toddler. This is the president of the United States, and we have to keep him distracted. Anyhow,
Hysterical is not the right word for that.
yeah,
It's concerning.
concerning. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
on the ceasefire, and let's try to get through a quick timeline since Friday. I'm going to try to be so quick with this. Friday, Trump announced that we won. Iran is giving us everything that we asked, and we're not giving them anything. They're opening the Strait of Hormuz. It's complete and total. They surrendered, basically. He never said those words, but that was, and he called reporters with Bloomberg, Axios, the New York Post, and CBS. I think it was who it was. And was doing, or he called them and then gave them little 10-minute interviews where he was announcing, we won, they've agreed to everything. It turns out Iran did agree to open the Strait of Hormuz. Now, according to Iran and Pakistan, I don't believe Iran. Pakistan seems like they don't have anything to lie about here, so I do believe them. But according to them, Pakistan had worked out basically a deal, being the mediator, and said, "Hey, Iran, if you agree to open the Strait of Hormuz as a gesture of goodwill, America is going to respond by ending the blockade on your ports." So that was like the deal that was worked out. And
Okay.
Iran did not want to go first. They wanted America to go first because they didn't trust that Trump would hold his end of the bargain. Pakistan convinced them to go first and basically promised that America was going to follow up by ending the blockade. So Iran announces that the strait is open, and like within 30 minutes of that, Trump comes out and he's like, "We've won. They've opened the strait, and we're going to keep the blockade in place until they've officially signed all the paperwork." And Iran got pissed immediately and reclosed the strait and started firing at ships like right away. So Friday and Saturday, I think like 3 or 4 ships were fired at. But the strait was open for about 30 minutes, is what it looks like. Um, Throughout the weekend, Trump he kept telling everybody, like, yeah, it's over. They've agreed. And the whole time they were saying, we have not agreed to anything. Like, what is he talking about? The talks were supposed to happen Sunday in Pakistan, and then Monday, and then Tuesday. They still haven't happened. Iran, I guess what it seems like is America sent them a list through Pakistan of the 7 or 8 points that we wanted to make sure that they would agree to, and they just never answered. They left us in Pakistan on red. They just haven't responded. It hit a
Hmm.
point where Pakistan finally had to come out and say, like, we're not even sure if they're coming to this meeting. Like, they haven't committed to come to this meeting. This is so weird. Yesterday, Trump said that JD Vance would not be going. He would not be leading the delegation in Pakistan. And then the White House came out like 20 minutes later and corrected him and said, no, JD Vance is going. And then this morning, Trump said that JD Vance was on a plane right now and in fact would be landing very soon. And like 30 minutes later, we saw JD Vance walking into the White House. So he hadn't even left yet. So like it's been so screwed up to try to figure out what's going on here.
John Stewart had a good bit on that one. He was like, Vance on, Vance off,
It's
Vance on.
it's been so confusing. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think where we're even at here today. So today and over the weekend, it went from we've won, and then late Sunday into Monday, it turned into Iran better sign the deal, or else we're going to bomb the bridges and the power plants and all that. And he got crazy a little bit. And then today he comes out with a ceasefire. He's extending the ceasefire, which I honestly didn't think he'd do it this time, but he's claiming again that Pakistan is the one that requested the ceasefire. If you remember last time, Pakistan did formally request we extend the ceasefire, but then it turned out they had copied and pasted what we sent them to post.
Uh-huh.
So Trump's ceasefire tweet today, based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of Field Marshal, I'm not even going to try to say these names, 2 Pakistani names, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. Basically, he's going to continue the blockade, and we're ready to go back to war at any moment. But he's saying Pakistan asked for more time because Iran's government is so fractured right now. Like they're having trouble putting together their response. So that's why we need more time.
Okay.
The Pakistan also responded like immediately. It was so coordinated. Like Trump put that out, and right afterward, Pakistan put out a tweet, and it was like, "Thank you so much. You're so gracious, Mr. Trump. Like we promise that us and Iran are going to get our shit together and get ready for this meeting. It's not going to happen." Iran is telling everybody that they see no point in meeting with us because what their 10 points are and what our 7 or 8 points, I guess, is what we have now. Like they're nowhere close to each other, and Iran just isn't even going to do it at the moment. They could be bullshitting. They might do it next week. Who knows? But right now they're saying no to it. So
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard today, it was a general speaking. Hegseth was in the background, and he was talking about how we are re-strategizing, and we are the best at re-strategizing, and we will win this war. Basically, what his message was.
Trump said we've already won the war, and also it's not a war; it's an excursion. You know, the messaging is really off on all this. The, the part I'm stuck on here is Trump has now issued like 2 firm deadlines. You remember the one, what was that, a week ago when he said he was going to end an entire civilization, never to be reborn again? That was like there was a Tuesday deadline. Maybe that was 2 weeks ago, but if they didn't agree to the deadline by whatever time it was, he was going to end their civilization. And then at the last minute, Pakistan requests an extension. He decides not to do it. That seemed like he tacoed. He backed out of that one. And
Yeah,
then
I think our headline for our podcast was Taco Tuesday.
and he did. But the thing is, he put that, like, there was no need to put a firm deadline on anything. He did that himself. Nobody was trying to make him do that. And then he did it again this week. And he kept saying, if they don't agree by Tuesday night, I think it was Tuesday at 5 is when it was supposed to happen. And then Tuesday at like 3, he comes out, Pakistan asked for an extension again. We're going to give it to him. He's lost any credibility. Like, if you're Iran right now, he's bluffed twice and then back down. Pakistan, I don't see how they could even fear him at this point. Like he's clearly bluffing. Eventually, he's
Pakistan?
gonna. Sorry,
Or
Iran. Yeah,
right.
but eventually he's gonna have to actually attack him, which we don't want to happen. But like he's gonna have to do that, or else everybody's gonna keep making fun of him. I can't help it. I don't want to make fun of him for it, but he's asking for it.
He can't really attack him because we don't want this war at home. Nobody here wants this war. And so he's towing a line of trying to be this tough guy, but also trying to like adhere to his constituents.
Yeah, and that's I really think he does not want to restart the war. Like I think he would rather this just go away. The midterms are coming up. He sees his poll numbers, but at the same time, like Iran's not going to let him just walk away. Like that's their mode right now. It's like, no, 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 no. You wanted to do this. Let's do this. And they've said from the start they want to make this last till the midterms. So them like dragging out negotiations and not responding, that makes total sense. If they really want to make sure this lasts as long as possible, seems like that's the case. Caroline. Everybody was making fun of Trump for tacoing out these last 2 times. So Caroline Leavitt showed up. I think this was today on Fox. I just find this clip to be hysterical. I hope you enjoy it.
President Trump has been the steady leader our country needs throughout this entire endeavor. And again, thanks to the success of the military operation and his hardline negotiating style, we're on the brink of a deal. And if not, the president as commander-in-chief still has a number of options at his disposal that he's unafraid to use. And President Trump has proven before he does not bluff. When he makes a promise, he follows through on it. And I'm not sure why, after 10 years of covering this president, the American media still cannot understand when President Trump says he's going to do something, he's going to do it.
Whatever happened to that healthcare plan he was gonna
in 2 weeks? In 2 weeks, what? That's the most demented clip I've seen on Fox, and I've seen some weird shit on Fox. But when is the American media and public going to learn that when Trump says he's going to do something, he does it? He does not bluff. His entire 10 years of being around, 11 now, like. That's all he's done is he always kicks the can down the road. No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you my taxes. I think was the first. No, healthcare was the first one. Then he was going to show us his taxes, and it goes on and on and on. He's always going to do it in 2 weeks.
You got to give credit where credit's due, though. He did lower taxes for the wealthy. He said he was going to do it, and he did it.
He said to us he was going to lower taxes for everybody, but then at like private donor events, and we have video of him doing this at Mar-a-Lago, he was telling you billionaires, you guys don't need it, but I'm going to lower your taxes. Okay, cool. When I see that clip, of Caroline Leavitt on Fox. Like my first thought is like, are any of them believing this? Like are Fox News viewers really buying this crap? But I totally think they are. I got two back-to-back clips that are annoying. It's going to be Jesse Waters, then Hannity. So I'm just letting you know in advance so you can mentally prepare. I just want to give you a taste of what Fox News viewers are getting spoon-fed about this war so far, and we'll see how it lines up with our reality.
Fox News alert, Bridge and Power Plant Day could now be any day of the week. A fierce power struggle breaking out in Iran, and President Trump showing a lot of patience. 47 says U.S. airstrikes have seriously fractured the regime, so Pakistan asked us to hold off on B&P Day until Iran can get it together. Tonight, there could be a coup. No one knows who's calling the shots. Vance, Witkoff, and Kushner were supposed to leave for Islamabad, but they never took off because the Iranian delegation never took off, which is suspicious because this morning, Trump said the gay Ayatollah authorized the deal.
They just got the okay to go forward, which I knew they were going to do anyway. I mean, I don't think they had a choice. They have to negotiate. And, you know, the one thing I'll say is this: Iran can get themselves on a very good footing if they make a deal. They can make themselves into a strong nation again, a wonderful nation again. They have incredible people. But they seem to be, you know, bloodthirsty.
So the gay Ayatollah told his ministers wheels up, but the military said not so fast. We're basically looking at another Iranian hostage crisis. This time they've taken themselves hostage, and therefore the negotiations. The IRGC won't agree to sign over the Strait and the uranium, and they're the only votes that matter because they're the ones with the guns.
So the Ayatollah's gay?
Well, remember Trump said he was gay, and I think that was still one of the funnier things that's happened in this war. But Trump said that they have reason to believe that he's gay because over there they'll throw gay people off of roofs and kill them for being gay. So to start a rumor that he's gay is kind of hysterical. But Jesse Waters can't help but point it out. But the way they're making it sound like there's a coup happening in Iran right now, that doesn't seem to be backed by any reporting from anybody that's actually talking to anybody in Iran. Like Fox News kind of invented that and is running with it. So
interesting.
Anyhow, the way they put it is the Iranians want to make a deal. It's the IRGC, their army, that is preventing them from doing it. And it's a coup that's happening right now. So that, like, again, doesn't seem to be the case. The gay Ayatollah. I do like that, though. And then here's a little Sean Hannity kind of echoing the same thing real quick.
And welcome to Hannity. Tonight we start with this Fox News alert. Now, new reporting tonight. Sources telling me that the ceasefire extension in Iran announced by the president, that will be short-lived unless a deal is reached quickly. Now, earlier today, the president announced that American strikes will not yet resume, and he will allow peace negotiations to continue. According to my sources, mostly this was out of respect for the Pakistani mediators and as a final push for peace for the war-torn Iranian people. The president is also giving more time to Iran's regime to attempt to coordinate and actually communicate with each other, which nobody's really factored in because they're kind of shallow in their analysis. It is not an easy task in Iran these days. Thanks to America's incredible military intel campaign, it's not like any of these leaders are free to just pick up a cell phone and call other leaders in the country without the very real fear of being blown to pieces. Now,
I mean, that seems a little bit believable. That seems believable.
That last part's true, but that's also like if we're really going for a peace deal here, we have to stop killing their negotiating teams. And we've done that now. We did that over the summer. We killed the top 40 people in their government to start this war. We remember Israel hit that one guy who was like the guy trying to broker peace. Yep. So we keep killing the people we're negotiating with, which makes me think if that's the case, because they do like the new Ayatollah Khomeini, the younger one that might be gay, according to Trump, he's been in hiding. We haven't even seen a video of him. And there's a lot of guesses that maybe he got disfigured in that one blast that happened. Maybe he's not even alive. I think it's because he knows better. Like in his mind, if he even puts out a video, they could try to geolocate that somehow. I don't know how all that works and hit him with a missile. So he's not putting out shit. I don't blame him for that. So, anyhow, the way that Fox News is selling it right now, like Trump has played this masterfully and we're on the edge of victory and Iran is in collapse. everything I'm seeing, I would say that like our military has done outstanding. Props to them. They do a good
Sure.
job. But just like Iraq and Afghanistan, like our military won every battle, but like I wouldn't feel right saying that we won in Afghanistan, like it or Iraq. Like it's kind of an unwinnable war. I
Yeah.
feel like this is that same situation where like however this ends, I wouldn't feel like it's an outstanding victory. Our army did
I
great though.
I don't think you can actually win a war anymore. Like I don't think you can win a war and take control. I mean, well, Israel took control of Gaza. They won that war, I guess.
And southern Lebanon too. They've totally got southern Lebanon.
But didn't Russia, didn't they say that they were gonna go through Ukraine in like 2 weeks?
Everybody, including us, we thought they were gonna like run over Ukraine in like 4 or 5 days. We thought it would be less than a week, and it didn't.
Huh.
And I wouldn't say it's not possible to win a war, but like an occupation war, like regime change and nation building and all that, has never worked out. Like it works out for a couple years, and then the people overthrow whatever person we put in charge. So like
Yeah.
if that was our goal here was to try to like nation build in Iran, like that's not going to work. There's no way it was ever going to work.
Yeah.
If our goal was to get them to not have a nuclear weapon, my personal belief is that diplomacy, like negotiating with them, was probably the best way.
Yeah.
Never getting out of the JCPOA was probably the best way.
Yeah. I can imagine that they are like scrambling to try and build a nuke faster now.
And I think everybody should agree on that. Like right now, behind the scenes, while they drag us on negotiations wise, like if they're not right now working on a nuke, I'd be shocked. Like they're trying to get one as fast as they can. And if they could do some kind of an underground nuclear test, like while all this is going on to send a message, that'll be an interesting moment there. Oh shit, they got a nuke. Okay, what do we do now?
Yeah. I imagine every country that doesn't have a nuke is scrambling to get one at this point.
It's if you look at all the countries like Libya famously, Libya, we got them to give up their nukes, and then like 3 years later, Gaddafi was impaled to death by a sword. We'll just say up the backside. Um, Kim Jong Un in North Korea is the only one that's alive, and he's probably living a nice life, and it's because he has a nuke. I think all the other ones see that and they realize that all we got to do is get a nuke, and then America will never mess with us.
Yeah. Well, think about Ukraine too. Like they were prevented from having a nuke, and or did they give them up? They had to
Yeah,
give
they
up their
gave him
nukes.
up. They had like the
Yeah.
third largest stockpile of nukes in the world when they separated from Russia. And what's interesting is apparently at the negotiating table in the last negotiations a week or two ago, Iran brought that up to America. And Iran was like, well, what about Ukraine? Like you promised in 1994 that if they gave up their nukes, you would always make sure they were secure. And now you're not. And that's a good point. Like that's a great point for Iran to bring up there. So.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like every country with a nuke is kind of safe because nobody
Yeah,
wants nukes to be dropped.
that's I don't like that, and I don't want any of these rogue nations to get nukes. But also, if I was them, like clearly I would want a nuke. That's like the one way to ensure that America's not going to try to mess with you. So
Or Russia or China or anybody.
Russia and China, like okay, so now I was about to say they're not trying to mess with people, but Russia with Ukraine and China with Taiwan. So no, I take that back.
Yeah.
Um, anyhow, where we're at right now is that we have a undetermined delay on this or extension of the ceasefire. Trump didn't really say how long he's going to give them. They're going to try to drag it out. What's going to eventually happen is they're going to try to draw it out, and either Trump's going to get mad and start bombing, or Bibi's going to start sending some missiles. But and somebody's eventually going to point out if this goes on for a month, where we're kind of not talking to them, but we're also not bombing. Somebody's going to point out to Trump that hey, right now they're trying to build a nuke, and that's all. It'll be Bibi that points that out to Trump. So also. I mentioned Lebanon real quick. Israel has violated the ceasefire in southern Lebanon. Over the first 3 days, they violated it 220 times. So, not much of a ceasefire. Did you see the picture with the Jesus statue?
No.
Oh God, you're gonna love this. Check it out. Open up. What did I call it?
Jesus Hammer?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So this is a picture of an IDF, an Israeli soldier. Somehow Jesus could come off the cross. I don't know how, but he's hitting it in the face with a sledgehammer. This video
Whoa.
went out over the weekend, and Christians got very upset. And a lot of pro MAGA people were like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Like this is clearly AI." Netanyahu came out Sunday and said, "Hey, we have verified this picture, and this is in fact an IDF soldier in southern Lebanon. We are basically we're going to punish him for it. This shouldn't have happened." In fact, today I saw that they basically built a new cross with a Jesus hanging on it, right where that one was, because they're trying to smooth it over. But the fact that an Israeli soldier saw that and was like, "Oh, let me just bash in the head of Christ."
Hmm.
All right, that's the kind of people we're dealing with.
Well, we've been talking about this for a while. Did we cut
have.
it all out last time?
Yep, cut most of it out. And that's why we got so many views. And in fact, I didn't pull much on that tonight at all. So I'm trying to keep us in the views.
Yeah.
But speaking of prayer, there is two things going on prayer-wise that I do feel like we should touch on real quick. First of all, Texas is back in the news. An appeals court in Texas is now going to allow Texas schools to put the 10 Commandments in every classroom. I feel like this gets settled once a year. Like, it's back in the news, and then another court's going to say no, and then about a year later, right now they can put the 10 Commandments back up. So if you're in a Texas school, if your kid is, they're going to have that in their classroom, apparently.
Have we talked about the 10 Commandments? I think
we
we've
have.
talked.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think a couple times now. So
Yeah. I mean, the fact that like thou shalt not have slaves is not like one of the 10 Commandments is kind of fucked up to me. And thou shalt not rape.
I wish I could remember where it was in the Bible. There's a part in the Bible where it talks about how to treat your slaves. And like, you can beat your slave if he does this, but you can kill your slave if he does this. Like, there's a code of conduct for how you handle your slaves. And that's
the Old Testament, I'm guessing.
Probably so.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, speaking of the Bible, have you heard about Trump's new Oval Office prayers?
No.
Oh, you're going to love this. So at some point in the past couple of weeks, somebody, I don't know if it was Trump, it's probably not Trump, but somebody said, "Hey, we need to bring this nation back to Christianity. Too many people have lost their way. So it'd be a good idea if, like, once a week, the president read a prayer from the Oval Office, like in straight, just slap in the face to the whole separation of church and state. And let's put it out online. So tonight, we got the very first Trump prayer from the Oval Office. It was 2.5 minutes long. I pulled about 30 seconds of it. Let's watch it real quick, and then I had to do some Googling to see like what he was reading and what the meaning of it is. So I have that for you. But first, let's check it out.
There shall not fail you as a man to be ruler in Israel. But if you turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments, which I have set before you, and shall go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I pluck them up from the roots out of my land which I have given them, and this house which I have sanctified for my name will I cast out of my sight, and will make it to be a proverb and a byword among nations. And this house which is high.
Is he slurring?
He was struggling through that quite hard. And that seemed like middle of the day, and he was struggling with it.
Whoa.
But so what he was reading there, and I don't know how to properly say Bible verses, but it was 2 Chronicles 7:11-22. And that is God's conditional response to Solomon after the temple dedication, emphasizing that blessing is tied to obedience. It outlines the promise of natural healing, while warning that turning away from God will lead to the temple becoming a ruin. So his very first office prayer was about obedience. I think that's something we need to take into account right there. He could have picked a lot of different parts to read. Obedience.
Yeah, who's picking these? I mean, this
Not
whole
Trump.
administration is Old Testament, like
Yeah.
fire and brimstone.
I just thought that was interesting. So weekly now, as he puts these out, we're going to cover them on our show. I hope you're ready for it. So it's just
we got to get a little segment with like some background music and a twisty sign like Trump reads the prayer.
It's time for the Trump prayer. But they're calling it the Oval Office prayer. And like I said, we can just kind of throw out separation of church and state. Hegseth's having prayers at the Pentagon. I don't have any problem with religion, but I also understand the fact that there's a lot of Americans that aren't Christian. They're either Jewish or Muslim or Hindu or agnostic or atheist or whatever. We should remember that. This is a country where you're free to be a Christian, and you're also free to be whatever else you want to be. So,
Yep. And I mean, there's a reason why our forefathers put that in the Constitution.
Most of the people that wrote the Constitution weren't very religious, is what I've learned. They were very afraid of religion taking over our country, but you won't hear it that way if you listen to a right winger talk about it.
Right. I mean, we talked about the France taking over the Pope at one point.
Yep.
We've talked about like back in medieval times, like there's a big power struggle between the church and the government. And yeah, it's interesting. I kind of wish religion would have taken over because we might be more kumbaya than we are
Yeah.
today.
It depends on which branch of Christianity, because some branches of Christianity seem to be really cool with war and destroying your enemies.
How is that?
Yeah, I want to find, a lot of churches nowadays you can watch the sermon online. Hexeth's church, his pastor, and I can't remember his name, but I want to see if I can find like his weekly sermons online. So I'll bet they'd be interesting. That's all I'm gonna say.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
So, to wrap up, one more little thing on the war. Energy Secretary Chris Wright went on CNN Jake Tapper's what is it called? The State of the Union on Sunday mornings on CNN. And Jake Tapper did a follow-up. He'd asked him weeks ago about the price of gas. This is now the follow-up. I'm going to play this clip for you, but it's just because I want to talk to you about Trump's tweet immediately afterward.
When you were on the show March 8th, I asked you when gas prices would go under $3 a gallon for regular unleaded. You said, quote, in the worst case, this is not a month's thing. That was 6 weeks ago, so we're still within the weeks realm, but we're 2 weeks away from the month's thing. When do you think it's realistic for Americans to expect that gas will go back to under $3 a gallon?
I don't know. That could happen later this year. That might not happen till next year. But prices have likely peaked, and they'll start going down. Certainly with a resolution of this conflict, you'll see prices go down. Prices across the board on energy prices will go down.
But it might not be under $3 a gallon until 2027.
Under $3 a gallon is pretty tremendous in an inflation-adjusted terms. We had that in the Trump administration, but we hadn't seen that in inflation-adjusted term for quite a long time. We'll get back there for sure.
Who's leading the delegation?
We had that under Biden, and they complained.
Yeah, well, you know what? It was a luxury, and you really, as long as we keep it under 4, we're good. But he said we might not have it again until 2027. Trump called reporters immediately afterward to tell them that Chris Wright is wrong. By the way, that's his energy secretary. But he was calling reporters. Then he did a tweet. He said he's wrong. He's totally wrong. They'll be back down below $3 here in a couple of weeks. No gas analyst is saying that, but Trump believes that. So, anyhow,
I wonder who's telling him that. Like somebody's speaking to Trump about these things.
I don't think so. I think there's a strong chance he's just making it up.
Oh, yeah. You're probably right.
Yeah. So, anyhow, so that's all we got on Iran. Did you hear about the two embassy workers, American embassy workers that died in a car crash in Mexico over the weekend?
No.
So it turns out we originally found out there were 2 embassy workers that were in the car with 2 Mexican officials, and their car went off like a 600-foot high cliff. Sure. And crazy. And then more and more stuff started to come out, and apparently it was near like cartel areas. It seems to me like if a cartel was going to off a couple American embassy workers, I'm going to keep saying, the way you do it is you would do it and then you push the car off a cliff to make it look like an accident, right?
Sure.
Seems like that's a good probability. Everybody was guessing all weekend that this was really 2 CIA agents working with the Mexican officials, somehow going after cartels. There's been whispers that we already kind of have boots on the ground in Mexico battling the cartels, but it's just all under the radar, plausible deniability. Today, we got our answer on that. Check it out.
This hour, about 2 Americans who were killed in Mexico after their car plunged 600 feet off a cliff. And now new questions about their reported ties to the CIA. Senior foreign policy correspondent Jillian Turner is live at the State Department with the latest. Jillian.
Good afternoon to you, John. New bombshell reporting out now that these U.S. officials who were killed over the weekend, alleged to be U.S. embassy officials assigned there, were in fact CIA operatives who were working on a Mexican cartel drug bust. This according to the Washington Post. Now, Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, says that Americans were not authorized to be in that region of the country and may have in fact violated Mexico's national security laws.
Okay.
I don't know if I believe Scheinbaum. The Mexican president came out and immediately she did a press conference and she was basically saying, she was like, if these Americans were here battling cartels, like they do not have the right to do that. This violates our sovereignty, blah, blah, blah. I think this was kind of a black op where it was known to everybody that if this goes south, she's going to say that she had no idea and we're going to deny it and all that. And I think that's the playbook. I would find it hard to believe because they were in the car with two government officials. So that would mean that somebody in her government is, without telling her, cooperating with Americans on, she has to know about it. I think it was agreed in advance that she was going to say, because her citizens would get pissed at her if it turns out she's letting America come in like boots on the ground to battle the cartels. They would not like that.
Yeah.
I think this was a setup. I think that she knew damn well and she's lying, and that was the deal. So,
What bothers me is our CIA agents. The cartel has better intel than the CIA agents.
I wouldn't go that far, but
They were able to get one on us.
yeah. Well,
You wouldn't think that the cartel had that good of intel.
Which I'll give it a 5% chance that it was really an accident and they drove off a cliff. It's just that doesn't seem believable. I'm going to say 95% chance with no evidence. I believe that this was probably a cartel hit made to look like an accident. 5% chance it was an accident. Maybe it was. Who knows?
You think that Trump is like taking the Oath Keepers and sending them down to Mexico?
No, I'll bet it was. I honestly, have you ever seen the movie Sicario?
No.
Great movie, I will say. Fantastic movie. But it's kind of us going off the books and going across the border, battling the cartels, and using former SEALs or Army Rangers or whatever that are not in the Army anymore, but they're still getting paid by the CIA, probably through weird accounts, and doing that kind of stuff. And I think I try not to believe what I see in movies, but I got to believe there's some truth behind all that. I think that stuff probably happens way more often than any of us want to admit. So.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely plausible.
So, I got one more thing, and then I want to try to sell you on a 2028 candidate. The infighting on the MAGA side has gotten just hysterical to me. Candace Owens, Alex Jones. By the way, Alex Jones, real quick. A court officially, you know how InfoWars, he lost InfoWars and it was up to the highest bidder. It's been going through the courts, and a court just the other day officially said that the new owner can take possession of InfoWars, the studio, the website, everything. You know who the new owner is?
I hope it's the Onion.
It is the Onion. The Onion one.
So the best thing would be for them to like make it a serious news organization.
I don't know what they're going to do with it. But Alex Jones did a video. He was pissed. He took his shirt off and he was like, just because you have my shirt doesn't mean you're me, or something along those lines. But then he did another video where he was blaming the Trump administration. He said that basically the Trump administration was the DOJ is who officially gave the judge the go ahead to push this through. I don't know how that really works, and it doesn't seem like that would really be it, but he's blaming them. So him, Tucker, who's apologizing for his support of Trump. Candace Owens is going scorched earth. Really, the one crazy person they have left is Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer, she is in love with Trump. She will do whatever he says, and she is being his personal defender online. Like every time Alex says something, she goes after Alex Jones. Candace Owens said something the other day, and her response to Candace Owens was just over the top to the point where it was almost perfect.
God hates you, Ariel Candace Owens. It's why he gave Charlie to Erica and why you didn't even get to say goodbye to him. God hates you. Look in the mirror and internalize how much God hates you. We all hate you. Humanity hates you, and you're irredeemable.
Wow.
Laura Loomer is a crazy person.
Oh, she is. She also, according to a couple different people, she was going around for a while bragging that she gave Trump the best blowjob of his life. His words, according to him, best ever. Trump denies that. But she's crazy. Anyhow, I'm enjoying still all the infighting on the right, and I hope it continues for the next 3 years. It's quite fun for me. Anyhow, I mentioned the name Jon Ossoff to you a couple weeks ago as far as being a fantastic person on the left that should run for president. And I remember you were like, him, maybe. I pulled a clip, and I see clips of Jon Ossoff nonstop. He's speaking a lot, but I pulled a clip for you, and I just want you to go into this with an open mind and think, could you vote for this guy in 2028?
All right.
Because how does American politics really work? It's coin operated. Money goes in, favors come out. It's been running on secret money, corporate money, billionaire money, both sides. Both sides. Citizens United was the worst court decision in modern American history. It's why members of Congress don't listen to the people. They listen to their donors. And this corruption is why insurance companies get away with denying your claim for a procedure you needed to save your life. This corruption is why big tech's still allowed to spy on us and track our every move and sell our private lives to the highest bidder. This corruption is why the ultra-rich get tax cuts while you pay more for everything. And beneath it all, a lazy, cynical expedience in Congress and in both political parties, serving donors and reciting poll-tested talking points with no higher purpose than winning the next election. A politics unmoored from fixed moral principles and incapable of inspiration or great national achievement. And all of this gave rise to a depraved president who exploits this rot to empower and enrich himself.
Fantastic messaging. I have one problem though.
Okay, what's your problem?
He's got the Obama cadence going.
So I was going to say, he reminds me of Obama in the way that it's like, he's a good speaker. Like I would feel good with him representing America on the world stage. But I wouldn't say that his cadence is Obama. Is it? I don't know. I feel like
he's speaking like Obama. Like he's got the cadence, he's got the inflection a little bit. He's pretending to be Obama. Like we were both big time fans of comedy, right?
Okay.
And remember listening to Joe Rogan back in the day, and they talk about how back in the day everybody was, mimicking different people.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with politics. Like you mimic these people. And there was a politician, I forget, was it the guy from Pennsylvania who was up for
Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania? To me, is trying to be Obama. Like he's trying to copy the cadence. I don't get that as much with Ossoff. I do get it with Shapiro a lot.
I was getting it there.
Okay. Well,
I was feeling it.
Your opinion? I don't know. I've watched him speak a lot, and I'm just like, it's not that hard. Like he's hitting on the key points, the points people care about. He's doing it in a very clear way.
Fantastic message.
Yeah,
yes.
Let's get that guy on the national stage. Right now, he's my dark horse for 2028. I think it'll probably still be a governor, but keep your eye out for Jon Ossoff. He's 39 years old. He's won in Georgia once, and it looks like he's going to easily win this time. And Georgia's, it's red. It's kind of turning purplish. But like he's loved there. Like the Republicans in Georgia like him. So
okay,
and he wasn't preaching a centrist message there. I mean he talks lefty, but he does it in a way where even moderate Republicans are like they can get on board with that. So
yeah, totally fantastic messaging and message and yeah, I like it. I like him being the dark horse. You're a dark horse for sure.
I like it.
I'm still going for Jon Stewart.
Yeah, I would take Jon Stewart above all else. That would be my favorite. Last video of the night, and then anything you got we can cover. You want to cover anything before I do my last video?
The only thing that I had left was did you see that the Trump administration is pushing our auto manufacturers to manufacture weapons?
Yeah, so I saw that he had a meeting at the White House with like the heads of like GM and Ford about them having the ability to like change their manufacturing lines to help put out, I don't know, weapons or ammunition or tanks. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I've got a quick video for you.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff takes time. So the goal is to, in a few years from now, to actually have this where you could throttle up. One other thing is, specifically with munitions and your bombs and missiles, we're seeing that the administration go and form agreements with a lot of the companies to, in some cases, quadruple production of these munitions year over year over the next 7 years. So that's going to still take a lot of time and also a lot of money.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Tomahawk missile, so let's come back to those. You mentioned the technology. Is that the one missile that potentially is troubling to try to make based on the fact that it comes from different spots around the globe and we talk about such a global world economy? Is that the one that might be the most perplexing or most difficult to manufacture here?
It's not just that. It's Patriot interceptors. THAAD's another type of interceptor. JASSM missiles. They all are very sophisticated. You know, a lot of the bombs that were used during the Iraq and Afghanistan war and during the fights against ISIS in the middle of the past decade, those are GPS guided bombs. But basically, they don't have they're not powered. There's no solid rocket motor in the back. There's another huge issue, the ability to build solid rocket motors in the country. That is just so different. I'll give you an example of Tomahawk. Over the last few years, the Navy has purchased in 2025, I believe they bought in the mid-20s, 2025. Last year, or this current year, excuse me, they're buying about 50 or so. Next year, they want to buy over 700 of them to the tune of $3 billion. That's a huge increase.
So they want to go from 50 Tomahawks a year to 700 of them next year. Okay, I don't know if they can get everybody retooled to do that. Awesome. The interceptors they were talking about, I was seeing that on average we can do about 20 to 25 interceptors a year. Is how much we can make. We're going through 25 interceptors in like a day or two over there, like during the height of this Iran conflict. That's why everybody says like Iran would be okay with starting the fighting back up. They know that we're almost out of interceptors. The story I saw recently was that we had like 20% of our interceptors left. I don't know what that number is. 20% of what? I don't know. Yeah. But another week or two of like heavy missile firing, like our interceptors are gone. And I don't even know if we talked about it, but at one point, Iraq was shooting like basically firecrackers over the Gulf at the UAE and Saudi Arabia, trying to get them to shoot off interceptors at it and basically make them waste their interceptors on duds that were coming across. So they understand the math. They understand that we're gonna run out of interceptors before they run out of missiles, and that's just a hard reality.
Yeah, I saw something where Iran's plan and that they executed well was they did heavy fire to get those interceptors to release them, and now that we're running low, they don't have to shoot as many missiles into us.
Well, and they also shot their like oldest and like least technologically awesome. I don't know what the right word for that would be, but like their oldest stuff, the stuff that wasn't that awesome. They shot all that first, knowing that our interceptors would take it all out, and they left their newer stuff that was better and more advanced, behind for when we are lower on interceptors. So that's according to Iran. I don't know if you believe them with anything, but I don't know. The math of continuing to do this doesn't work. And also, it seems like Trump's really eager to move on to Cuba like really soon, and he can't until he wraps this up.
He needs a win.
I think that's why he just wants to wrap this up and then go to Cuba, and we'll beat the hell out of Cuba. Cuba will go fast, and that's what he's looking for, is a kind of a bounce back right now.
Well, one thing that got me on this was they said a few years. Like it's going to take a few years for even the car manufacturers to switch over to making munitions, right? So this is just perpetuating our war. Like we're going from this to Cuba to Greenland next. And then also like this is just we already have all these tariffs on Ford vehicles. Now we're gonna make our vehicles more expensive because it's just gonna cost more money for them to build cars if they switch over.
Well, you got to imagine if they start building other stuff, that's less cars they can build, and then supply and demand, if there's less of them being made, the price is going to go up. So yeah, the only thing I could think is that we have this new $1.5 trillion military budget, which apparently Trump just picked that number. Like normally the budget people put it together and figure out what we need and they take it to the president. He just said 1.5 trillion because there's been several stories that the Pentagon is trying to figure out how to show on paper how they're going to spend this money. And it's honestly too much money. Like they don't know what to, so that could be a big part of this is they're saying, oh, well, we're going to order a whole bunch of new stuff that they're just trying to make the budget work.
We're all going to be working for the military industrial complex at some point.
Hey, at least we'll all have jobs, gang. That's better than nothing. All right. Last thing I have video wise. Trump went on CNBC this morning. I think the guy's name's Joe Kernan, and it was a wide ranging interview with several clips that could have been pulled. This one I just found funny. We've talked about it a couple different times. When Biden left office, we kept saying that inflation was about 3%, is what we said. I actually, because of this clip, I went back and pulled it. So before you even watch this clip, let me run you through this. In October, before the election, inflation was at 2.6%. It was the lowest it had been in a while. I mean, it's steadily ticking down. Trump won at the beginning of November. November's inflation went to 2.7%. So only 0.1 up, but it rose after Trump won, barely.
And under Biden, it was on a trajectory downward.
It was on a trajectory going down. 2.6 was the lowest it got. Trump wins that very next, the month he wins, it goes to 2.7. Then in December, it goes to 2.9. And then in January, when the inauguration happened, it was 3.0. So in the couple months after Trump won, but before the inauguration, it went from 2.6 to 3.0. So it went up 0.4%. I'm not even saying that's because of Trump. That's just the reality of what it was doing. Okay, it could have been something else. Now let's watch this fun video of Donald Trump explaining inflation.
I just want to return for 1 second and make an analogy here. You saw what inflation did to the Biden legacy and administration. So 22% price increases. By the time he was leaving, it was down to about where it is now, about 3%. But not a single.
It was down to 5%. It wasn't down.
Well, or 3, but not a single
person. And the reason
person.
it was down was because I had won the election, and it started falling after I won the election, and I started getting prices down from right after November 5th.
If you
what?
Complete lie. First of all, he said it was 5%. It wasn't anywhere near 5%. But again, it was lowest right before he won, and then it ticked back up after he won. He said that it was only 5% when he took over because it had dropped down after he won, after the November 5th election. Complete lie, and Joe Kernan knows that, and Joe Kernan just doesn't even bother to challenge him on it. So that bothers
I wish our mainstream media would challenge the president more.
God, it'd be so nice. But they're all afraid to do it because they don't want him to then not call them and give them interviews or answer their calls when they call him. So
that's true.
Playing the game. Anyhow, that's all I got. Talk later this week. You got anything else?
All right, brother. I think that's it. Yeah.
All right. Like and subscribe. Talk to you soon.
Peace.
Sometimes you eat the bar. Sometimes the bar eats you.